Jonathan Taylor's having himself a really good year. He was terrific as a rookie. Second year, unbelievably good, over 1,800 yards rushing. And when people look at Ashton Jeanty, maybe they see a little bit of Jonathan Taylor. So today, as we talk about Jonathan Taylor, and to Jonathan Taylor, we ask about Ashton Jeanty and what he's going to bring to this party on Sunday for the Vegas Raiders, because those guys, not necessarily cut from the same mold, cut from the same cloth, but they play the position in a similar way.
Genty, Shaq is retiring at halftime of this game. What do you remember about him and just maybe the impact he had on and off the field here?
Like you mentioned, his impact, his energy, his leadership. I mean, that's one of the best players that I've ever played with. From a leadership standpoint, from an actual on-field play standpoint. That's someone, like, when I came in, I'm like, okay, this is someone who puts it on tape every single week, day in and day out, the same guy. So I'm just glad that he was able to retire a Colt. I think that was really nice.
Did he get a punch out on you ever in practice?
Probably in like a training camp. Okay, yeah, practice. Probably in like a training camp practice, because first time was 2020, so we had no on-field reps until training camp. So now you're going against all-pro Darius Leonard, no OTAs, no anything. So that was a nice welcome to the NFL moment. Is, just going against an all-pro guy immediately for your very first rep.
JT, you've got a lot on your plate going into each every week, but do you take time to appreciate a young running back when you see what a Genty can do, or are you too busy with your business?
No, you definitely look at some of the young guys, and you just look at their skill sets, and you kind of just think in their mind, or try to think of, I wonder what made him kind of be patient like that there. I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool to see. Like you said, especially with like a young running back, because you're like, hey, maybe it's an older running back, more experienced running back to kind of have that tempo or set the play up like that. So when you see a young guy, you're like, that was actually pretty cool to see. I
thought that the cycle was that the running backs weren't important anymore. Now all of a sudden, you see these running backs, yourself included. Is it just cyclical how this thing goes?
I think it definitely is, but you also have to do it each and every single week, year in and year out, as a whole, as a position group as a whole, to just show how you provide value.
I'm saying that's the same thing. I mean, is it also a factor of, like, we're seeing a lot of talent at the position too? I mean, how much of a factor is that, as opposed to teams just like piecing it together with a guy here, guy there?
Like you mentioned, there's a lot of talent. I mean, you look at some of the young guys in the league now, Gibbs, Bijan, and then some of the fresh, new guys coming in, Genty. So when you have a guy, like, it's on tape, you can see it, whether it's the patience, the physicality, smart plays being made, very athletic plays being made. So I just think when you have a guy, you see it on tape, but it's on tape week in and week out.
With Genty, is there like a game recognized game type thing? Like, you watch his highlights. Did you look at him at all when he was kind of coming out from Boise State?
Oh, he was plastered all over the TV. He was plastered all over the TV coming out. Thought he had a heck of a career in college. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see. Just his run. I'm like, they're showing Barry Sanders, and he's inching closer and closer. I'm like, this guy, he's breaking multiple tackles every week, which I thought was pretty cool. And I just know that the narrative of, who's he playing against, kind of reminded me back in high school of, going to a small high school and they get recruited. They're like, well, who is he playing against? And it's like, well, what do you want him to do? He's dominating his opponent across from him. So it's pretty cool. I saw that, he kind of got going a little bit more last week, which is awesome. And it's going to take time. He's going to continue to get better.
There was some stuff made about like his stance in the backfield and going back to like the way he stood in college, almost like Michael Myers back there. Does that why does that matter for a running back?
I think sometimes it's just about being comfortable, but there's guys here at this level who've done it in the past. You looked at Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb has done it before. You look at Gibbs now. So I think it just depends on the running back, and it's all about comfortability. If you're back there and you're comfortable and you're still able to have your landmark, if you're still able to have your correct steps, I don't think it's too big of an issue, but it's just that you still have to have those little details. If that hinders the little details in the play, then you have to make some changes.
JC, this is kind of random, but like, coming from Salem, how did that place shape you, knowing it like it isn't, I guess, perceived like a football breeding ground?
I just think, like I mentioned, you got to put it on tape week in and week out. Like I mentioned, kind of with Genty in college and the narrative of, the conference he's playing in. It's almost like I'm dominating the competition in front of me. And if I wasn't dominating the competition in front of me, then the narrative would be, well, he's not good enough. So just having that mentality of every time you step on the field, how can you not only be the best for your teammates, your coaches, but how can you try to be the best player on the field? So I think that mentality, me and Salem, each and every single week was, how can I be the best player on the field every week? You watch the game, win or lose or draw, no matter what happens, they can point out, this guy was the best on the field.
Your dad, he hooped in college, or hooped at the collegiate level. Did you learn anything about just what it takes to play at a high level early on? And why did you go to football rather than not basketball?
Well, I mean, I definitely had, just the option. It wasn't like, hey, I want you to play basketball. I want you to do this. But it was the consistency. That was one thing that I learned was you have to be consistent. In order to be great, you have to be consistent because there are people who are good, but that means that they're only good sometimes. But people who are great are good all the time. So in order to be an elite, in order to be great, you have to find a way, you got to work and find a way to be good each and every single day because that cumulative effect is what makes you great. It's what makes you elite.
JT, we've seen a couple of spin moves from you last couple of weeks, and the second one, obviously, we won't talk about that. But is that just purely instinctive, or is that something you worked on? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you always work on things, but it's almost like you never really rise to the occasion. You always fall to the level of your training. So you work on it, and then it kind of almost, like you mentioned, is an instinct, but it's because your body reverts back to training. So if you're in that position, now naturally, I've been doing this all summer, been doing this all camp, your body will naturally, we've been here before, let's spin out of it. So it's kind of, you're not necessarily thinking, hey, I want to spin on this dude. At least not for me. I know some guys, maybe they do, but it's more so the fact of you've trained and you put your body in that position, so when the time comes, you'll fall to the level of your training.
And it was always part of your training? Okay.
JT, it was such a cumulative and collective effort to get Tyler that first touchdown last week. Saw you come over to the sideline and ask him if he got the ball. Why was that important for you to look out for the rookie? And have we gotten the first touchdown ball for Tyler Warren?
I mean, everybody, most likely everybody really does it. You get in the end zone, your first play, now you turn it around, you're celebrating, and you forget the ball. I think it was Pitt. I think it was Pitt who came up and grabbed my first touchdown ball. But confirmed, Tyler Warren has received his first touchdown.
A rare display of emotion from Tyler.
Definitely.
Last year you went off
two.
in the game after the Denver game. I think you were like over 200 in that game. What do you remember about that week for you after what happened in Denver? Do you remember more motivation or what kind of your emotional state was in that week after that game, leading into the next Sunday?
Yeah, no, it was just continuing the same week of work. As many runs, as many carries as I've had. At the end of the day, you make a mistake like that. That's not something that you harbor on too much. At the end of the day, it's not like it was, a technique error or if it was something that really you needed to kind of take it to the offseason to correct. It's, hey, listen, you got to just stay focused. And the minute you lose focus, even 1 second in the game is the minute. It could be a turning point in the game. So just finding a way throughout the entire week of practice, make sure the entire time, every time you're on the field, you're focused 100% of the time. Don't ever break that level of concentration.
JT, with Pitt, 3 touchdowns in 4 games, but besides that, what's impressed you the most about the season he's had so far?
I think Pitt's always been a guy who's gonna, I want to say get his, but at the end of the day, he's gonna be reliable. We're gonna need Michael Pittman. We're gonna need him, and he's gonna be there. He's gonna be available to make the play every single time. And that's kind of what I mentioned of people who are being good each and every single time in order to work their way to becoming great. And I think that's something that he's been doing. I think that's something he's going to continue to do. You guys have seen even with Tennessee, he's continuously bust his tail to do his job to the best of his ability, whether it's blocking, receiving, whatever it is, clearing out, running out for someone else to get the ball. So I think that Pitt is just the definition of unselfishness.
Thanks, Judy.
That's Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor is going to have a big day on Sunday and should have a big day on Sunday because that defensive front for the Raiders, they got one guy on that front that you look at and say, man, that guy can play, and that's Max Crosby. And Max Crosby, while he will wreck the game putting pressure on a quarterback, you know what? You can mitigate that in the run game. Jonathan Taylor's got to have a big game this Sunday for the Colts to be able to move the football in the way they got it to put points on the board.